So I just beat Metroid Return of Samus, and I just want to give a few opinions about it compared to AM2R. It took me about 10 hours to beat, and I had a lot of fun. It was really, really enjoyable. I really, really liked the fact that they gave Samus some new abilities. I felt that ever since Super Metroid, Samus has been doing the exact same stuff, like power bomb, super missiles, screw attack, space jump. It's been the same every single game. Just fusion threw in diffusion, ice missiles, and Other M had that diffusion beam, but they were just basically the same stuff. But this, we had some cool new stuff. Samus had a shield, she could slow down time, and I really liked the way the map, you had to find hidden areas in the map using an item that had ammo and stuff. I think that worked really well as a compromise between the map just not telling you stuff and the map telling you too much. Also, Samus has like a melee attack. I think that's pretty cool. That's something I've wanted like for quite a while in Metroid. I felt it could have done a bit more damage to enemies. It doesn't do any damage. It's just a counter unless the enemies are frozen, and then it does a ton of damage actually. Pro tip. But yeah, also Samus can aim in every direction now. That's really, really cool. But to compare it to AM2R, the unofficial fan remake that got cancelled, possibly because of this game being made. I really liked AM2R's aesthetic. I felt this game, it was in 3D, and I don't have an innate problem with 3D, but I just felt it didn't look great. It looked a bit repetitive. It captured the original Game Boy feel in that regard, I suppose. But like each area, I don't have any distinct features in my mind. AM2R worked really hard in making every area look really good, and also making each area feel distinct and look different. And put a lot of lore into every area. Like this was the hydroelectric plant, this was the water purification area. It worked very hard to make each area feel like it had a theme to it. While this remake, the official remake, it captured the original spirit of the game, which was pretty bland because it was a very, very old game, like 1990 or something on the Game Boy, when it was all in black and white. So I can't fault the original game for that, but I think I can fault the remake for not making each area distinct enough. This is unscripted. I'm probably rambling now and repeating myself. Another thing I liked about AM2R was the fact that it added in a lot more bosses. But in this remake, we only had 2 bosses that weren't in the original. On the other hand, though, I felt the boss battles in this game were really, really fun. I was looking forward to fighting Metroids, and I found most of them to be quite challenging. Though that might have something to do with me always fighting them with very low health. It wasn't until I was getting to Zetas and Omegas did I consciously make sure I had health before fighting them. But yeah, the Metroids can do a lot more, and they split the ice beam away from the other beams, so it's not stacked. And I felt that was a really good decision for making the ice beam effective against Metroids without making the Spazer and the plasma beam just destroying them. So the Metroid fights were really fun. They could like spit acid, you could grapple with them, you could counter them and just shoot missiles into them. There was a lot of stuff you could do in this game that was new and you couldn't do before. So that was really, really cool. And spoiler alert, because there's actually something in this game that even if you play the original is a bit of a spoiler. Ridley is in this game, and I absolutely love the fact that Ridley's in this game. He swoops in out of nowhere and just acts as the final boss, and I've always wanted Ridley to be a final boss, so I thought this was a lot of fun, and the fight was really, really cool. It happens on the surface, and you have the baby Metroid helping you, and you just fight Ridley. It's a classic Ridley boss battle, and it was really good, a lot of fun. But after finishing it, I was like, Samus just leaves Ridley's corpse there, and I'm like, that's kind of out of character for Samus. She hates Ridley. She wants this guy dead. She's not going to leave that body there if there's any pulse in it, and there must be since he survives from the other games. So I think if you're going to just have Ridley as the final boss, why not just have the final boss battle be at the start of Super Metroid, be on the Ceres station, and have them fighting over the baby there? That would have been a really great way of tying the 2 games together and having a sense of continuity. But you fight him on the surface, and immediately after that he just gets up and follows Samus to the space station and beats her this time, even though he just lost there. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I wish they did a little bit more of the surface area. You go underground pretty much straight away. AM2R did a little bit of that. They put you up to the surface and you explore this ship and you find this area that's identical to the one from Metroid Fusion. I think that was a great Easter egg. And AM2R did a bit more with the research and fighting teams that were sent there. Well, not fighting team, but the research team and the rescue team that were sent before Samus. They feature at the very start of this game, but then they don't show up again at all. In AM2R, you find their camps and you find like their bodies. You just see one body in this game, and then when you fight the first Omega, you actually see them shooting at the Omega, and they all just die just as Samus was almost there to save them. I thought that was really, really nice in AM2R, and I was kind of disappointed when it didn't happen in this game. Yeah, AM2R, I feel AM2R worked harder on the lore and on the story, while this game just tried to get very, very smooth gameplay. And to a certain extent, I think it worked. So both games are pretty great, and I'm very happy that both games exist, and I hope this game will mark a new era for Metroid. People are saying there'll be a Metroid Fusion remake. I don't really want that to happen. I feel Metroid Fusion is a fine game in its own right. It doesn't need to be remade. I'd rather see Super Metroid be remade before that, because it controls a little bit oddly sometimes. Space jump is kind of hard, and I think Zebes still has a lot more it could show for like Easter eggs and fun. Well, the BSL station is kind of I couldn't imagine too much more being added to that when I could see a few more areas being added to Zebes. So I'd rather a Super Metroid game over a Metroid Fusion game if we're talking remakes. But more than anything, I'd just like to see a new original Metroid game set after Fusion, so we can finally go ahead with the canon of the game. Because Fusion ended on a big game-changing note for Samus. Anyway, that's just my uncoordinated, rambly thoughts. I really would heavily recommend Samus Returns for the 3DS, and I'd definitely recommend AM2R for the computer download. Both games are great, and I hope you enjoyed me rambling and talking with them for 7 minutes.